At Shangjiang City First Middle School, the most important day for every student has finally arrived. White birds fly over the campus as the crowd gathers for the talent assessment. A large stage stands in the center of the arena, flanked by students waiting for their names to be called. And Bai is next in line to face his future. And Bai steps up to the glowing stone pillar. The elder instructor tells him to place his hand on the surface to reveal his innate talent. The stone pulses with a faint teal light. It displays a meager score of 3.1 for the mage class, just barely reaching the minimum requirement. And Bai pulls his hand back, staring at the lackluster result. He looks stunned by the low number glowing on the display. Laughter erupts from the stands as the other students mock his performance. They can't believe the class president barely qualified for a transfer while his girlfriend scored over a 9. Liu Ruyan approaches him with a confident smile. She mentions her own 9.6 talent score and offers to protect him from now on. The young man keeps his expression neutral, declining her offer. He tells her she doesn't need to worry about him. And Bai reflects on his situation. He transmigrated to this world 18 years ago, a place where a low talent score usually means a lifetime of mediocrity. The world is a dangerous place, constantly invaded by monsters and demons from other planes. Huge, glowing beasts roam the ruins of human civilization. Most of humanity was wiped out during the initial invasion. Now, survivors are forced to live in fortified city-states, their territory drastically reduced. To survive, every citizen is granted the potential to become a professional. Glowing seals appear on the backs of people as they awaken their abilities to fight back. Professionals are split into 6 main paths: warrior, mage, priest, archer, beast tamer, and support. Each role is vital for the continued survival of the species. A score of 3 is the bare minimum for a class transfer. A first transfer mage at this level has extremely limited growth and is considered the bottom tier. A score of 6 marks a true talent, allowing for multiple class transfers. These individuals become the backbone of the military and society. Those scoring above 9 are considered absolute geniuses. They have the potential to reach the mythic tier, wielding power that can reshape the battlefield. On the shooting range, small bursts of magic fizzle out on the grass. The apprentice mages practice their basic skills with varying degrees of success. And Bai watches the training, feeling the weight of his 3.1 score. With such a low aptitude, he'll never become a grand mage or even a top-tier combatant. He stands alone as the other students whisper behind his back. The realization that he might just be a mob grinder for the rest of his life sinks in. Liu Ruyan suggests he should just choose a support class. She wants him to handle her logistics so he can stay by her side safely. And Bai gives her a small, tight smile. He tells her he has his own plans and is definitely going to transfer into a mage. The girl stares at him in disbelief. She can't understand why he'd throw his future away on a combat class he's barely qualified for. Behind them, the other students continue to laugh at his stubbornness. They find the idea of a 3.1 talent mage ridiculous. The young man ignores the mockery and looks down at his basic wooden staff. He wonders if he should have invested in better equipment before the final transfer. Liu Ruyan's expression turns cold. She warns him that if he doesn't take this chance to stay with her, she won't be helping him later. Inside the class transfer hall, and Bai faces Teacher Wang. The instructor asks him one last time if he's sure about his decision. Teacher Wang reminds him that as an orphan, he has no backing to fund the expensive resources a mage needs. He warns that no guild will want a low-score mage. And Bai looks down, sweat trickling down his face. He knows his talent is considered trash, but he's banking on a secret advantage. He stands tall, looking past the teacher at the Grand Library. He tells himself he still has one final hope to change his destiny. A transparent screen appears in front of him, locked behind heavy iron chains. The system activation requires him to complete the class transfer first. With a determined look, and Bai repeats his choice to Teacher Wang. He's going to become a mage, regardless of the risks. The teacher sighs and waves his hand toward the array. He tells the boy to step inside and accept the energy of the ritual. Teacher Wang watches him walk into the light, thinking to himself that another youth is about to be led astray by pride. and Bai stands in the center as the stones begin to float. Energy swirls around the young man, lifting him off the floor. Blue magical symbols glow in the air as the transfer process begins in earnest. The instructor's mouth hangs open in surprise. He wasn't expecting the ritual to be this intense for someone with such low aptitude. A notification pops up confirming the successful transfer, and Bai has officially become a magic apprentice. A second notification appears as he gains his first skill, basic fireball. The blue energy around him starts to settle. Teacher Wang looks disappointed as the glow fades. He tells the boy that he's just a basic magic apprentice and doesn't even count as a real mage yet. And Bai doesn't care about the teacher's opinion. A wide grin spreads across his face as he feels a new power awakening within him. The heavy chains on his hidden screen shatter into pieces. A blinding golden light erupts as the system finally unlocks. The text on the screen changes, announcing that the activation conditions have been met. The system begins its startup sequence. A final congratulatory message appears, and Bai has successfully bound the skill affix system, changing the rules of his life forever. A system window explains the new rules. Every time Bai levels up, he gets to draw a golden affix to add extra effects to his skills. And Bai doesn't hesitate for a second. He reaches out and taps the golden card floating in the air, confirming the draw. Luck is definitely on his side. He pulls a golden legendary skill affix called Explosion. Golden shards swirl around the young mage as the power sinks into his chest. While others use affixes for gear, his system lets him buff his actual spells. The world's ranking system for items goes from common white all the way up to legendary gold. He just skipped straight to the top of the hierarchy. And Bai can barely contain his excitement. Getting a golden legendary affix on his very first try is a massive win for his future career. The explosion affix details appear on a scroll. It adds a massive area of effect blast that can multiply his damage by up to 100 times. Since Fireball is his only attack spell right now, and Bai decides to fuse the affix into it. He raises 2 fingers as the golden particles gather in his palm. He clenches his fist with a confident grin. He can't wait to see what a 100-fold damage increase actually looks like once he hits the field. The mage heads straight for the school's back mountain trial grounds. It's a rugged landscape of deep ravines and dense forests perfect for training. A group of students stands before a glowing blue portal. This is where novice professionals go to test their mettle against low-level monsters. And Bai arrives at the trail, his boots crunching on the dirt path. He's already managed to gear up with a set of basic novice equipment for the occasion. The other students are surprised to see him. They whisper about him actually going through with the mage transfer and figure he's just there to beg for help. And Bai ignores the mockery and runs toward the forest. He knows the monsters here shouldn't exceed level 5, making it the perfect testing range. Suddenly, a heavy staff tipped with a glowing blue crystal slams into the ground right in his path. And Bai trips and falls, looking up to see Liu Ruyan standing over him. She looks surprised to find him at the trial grounds so soon after the ceremony. Liu Ruyan offers to carry him through the zone and split the experience since she's already a Tier 3 ice mage. He just brushes it off, saying he's fine on his own. The girl is annoyed, asking why he came running toward her then. And Bai points out that she was just standing right in front of the only entrance. Liu Ruyan grinds her teeth as he walks past her. She's fuming that he made her lose face in front of everyone after she tried to look generous. Teacher Wang watches from the side, telling Bai to stay focused. He reminds the boy that even though the monsters are low level, he still needs to be careful. The teacher sighs as the boy disappears into the trees. He purposely didn't tell him about this place to keep him safe, yet the kid found it anyway. Deep in the misty forest, a blue beam of light marks the entry point. The trial has officially started for the young mage. And Bai stands in the middle of a glowing magic circle, scanning his surroundings. He's alone now, exactly how he wanted it. He spots his first target, a level 1 mutated rabbit sniffing around a large tree. The system highlights its stats, showing it has 80 health points. He crouches low behind some bushes, wand ready. He decides to play it safe and start things off with a sneak attack from the shadows. He focuses his energy, and a small spark of fire ignites at the tip of his wand. He calls forth a basic fireball and lets the spell rip. The fireball shoots out, but it looks agonizingly slow to the trained eye. It drifts toward the rabbit like a lazy balloon. The rabbit doesn't even move, just staring at the glowing orb as it floats closer. It clearly doesn't think the small flame is any real danger. It opens its mouth, revealing a set of sharp, mutated teeth. It seems more annoyed by the light than scared of the impact. But as it rolled over the bridge a few more times and came to a stop, everything changed. The small orb erupted with a blinding flash of golden energy. A massive explosion tears through the forest, completely obliterating the target. The shockwave sends dirt and debris flying in every direction. And Bai watches the smoke clear with a serious expression. A 10-meter explosion radius from a basic fireball is even better than he expected. Now that he knows the skill works, he adjusts his hood and prepares for more. It's time to start speed farming some real levels. He sprints through the dark woods, leaving the crater behind him. He needs to find larger groups of monsters to maximize his time and effort. He doesn't have to wait long before a massive mutated boar charges out of the undergrowth. Its tusks are sharp, and it's coming straight for the mage. And Bai lures the beast into a more open area. He knows these low-intelligence creatures are easy to bait if he just gives them a target to chase. He swings his wand in a wide arc, calling forth another fireball. The air around him ripples with the intense heat of the legendary spell. He doesn't just fire one, he rains them down on the stampeding boars. Multiple explosions begin to light up the dark forest floor. The massive beasts are completely engulfed in pillars of roaring fire. They don't even have a chance to squeal before they're incinerated. The experience notifications start rolling in fast. He just wiped out 16 creatures in a single go, jumping his experience bar by nearly 30%. From a distance, the forest looks like it's being bombarded by artillery. A golden pillar of light signals his successful level up to level 2. His stats jump up immediately, giving Nbai a boost to all attributes and his spirit. He can feel the mana coursing through his veins as he gets stronger. Nbai's status window updates as he continues his grind. At level 2, his spirit has already climbed to 11, and he still has a skill draw waiting to be used. "I can draw another affix," he exclaims, the excitement clear in his posture. He commands the system to draw immediately, eager for another power spike. A golden scroll unfurls before him, announcing his success. He's obtained another golden legendary affix, Explosion, which can multiply his damage by up to 100 times. The young mage's excitement fades into confusion as he reads the scroll. He wonders why the system would give him the exact same legendary affix a second time. Before he can complain, a new notification appears in the air. The system has detected the duplicate and is granting him a bonus draw opportunity for free. And Bai's eyes widen with realization as he leans in closer to the floating text. He didn't expect the system to have such a beneficial fail-safe for duplicate pulls. The second draw is even more impressive than the first. He pulls a golden legendary affix called Tenfold, represented by a stylized Roman numeral X. Golden energy swirls around Nbai, illuminating the dark forest as he prepares to integrate the new power. He holds his hands out, mana gathering between his fingers. He pauses, considering the mechanics of his unique system. A prompt informs him that affixes of the same type can actually be stacked together for a massive enhancement. Without a second thought, he points his wand toward the sky. He commands the system to fuse the new tenfold affix directly into his basic fireball skill. Deep in the shadows of the woods, several pairs of glowing blue eyes watch from the undergrowth. The forest is thick with monsters, unaware of the threat emerging. A pillar of golden fire erupts as the skill is updated. Basic Fireball now has a 300-fold damage potential thanks to the stacked explosion modifiers. As night falls over the back mountain, a small campfire crackles in a rocky clearing. A mutated creature is being roasted on a spit over the flames. Nbai sits by the fire, taking a large bite out of a cooked leg. He notes that the meat of mutated beasts provides a steady trickle of experience and small stat boosts. Looking over the desolate landscape, The mountain is now covered in deep, smoldering craters. He systematically cleared out almost every monster in the entire zone. He sighs, looking a bit worse for wear with a bead of sweat on his face. Despite the carnage, he's only reached level 4, and he realizes he made a tactical error during a chaotic moment. He recalls a terrifying encounter with a massive, red-eyed, mutated bear. In the heat of the ambush, he had frantically ordered the system to apply the tenfold affix to save himself. To his surprise, the affix was applied to his basic class passive instead of his fireball. His physique, dexterity, and spirit stats have all skyrocketed by 10 times. And Bai dusts his hands off, looking down at the ground with a satisfied smirk. The accidental combination of no cooldown and instacast on his fireball is an absolute game changer. He strides confidently through a shallow, glowing stream of water. If he wants to reach level 5 before the grand exam, he knows he needs to find a much tougher hunting ground. Near the trial entrance, Dean of Students Jai Feng checks his pocket watch with a frown. He remarks to Teacher Wang that the wild monsters are being cleared at an unprecedented rate. Jai Feng speculates that the top-tier students must be teaming up to dominate the mountain. His thoughts are interrupted by a desperate cry for help echoing from the forest. A student comes sprinting out of the glowing blue portal, his face pale with terror. He's running as if his life depends on it, barely staying on his feet. Teacher Wang and Jai Feng turn toward the disturbance, their expressions turning grave. Something has gone seriously wrong inside the novice training grounds. Teacher Wang catches the panicked boy by the shoulders to steady him. Jai Feng demands to know what could have caused such a complete breakdown of composure. Gasping for air, the student explains that he was just minding his own business on the outskirts. Suddenly, a massive horde of mutated beasts came stamping toward the outer edges. Jai Feng doesn't waste time, ordering Teacher Wang to help him expand the portal. They need to prepare for a mass extraction of all the students still trapped inside. Back inside the mountain, and Bai stands amidst a trail of smoke and ruin. He looks around the silent, empty landscape, wondering why there isn't a single person left in sight. Further down the path, several students are fleeing for their lives toward the portal. They're baffled and terrified by the sudden, violent change in the monster's behavior. A chaotic mix of mutated moose and wolves thunder through the trees behind them. Their eyes glow red with a primal, collective frenzy as they charge. And Bai watches the stampede from the safety of a high rocky outcrop. He stands tall, his green cloak billowing in the wind as he surveys the chaos below. He realizes that the monsters didn't just disappear, they were all driven toward the outskirts by his own destructive path. This massive horde is the perfect opportunity to hit level 5. Outside the portal, the evacuated students huddle together in a daze. The teachers stand ready at the magic circle, waiting for any remaining stragglers to emerge. The light of the portal flares as Bai finally steps through. He looks calm and composed, showing none of the panic that the other students exhibited. Teacher Wang rushes over, immensely relieved to see his student safe. He asks how Bai managed to survive the beast horde that terrified everyone else. Bai plays it cool, claiming that the horde had already moved on by the time he reached the exit. Teacher Wang urges him to rest, reminding him the grand exam is only 10 days away. As he walks away, Bai pulls his hood low over his eyes. He's relieved that the teacher was too distracted to use an appraisal skill on him and see his true stats. He looks back over his shoulder with a knowing look. He's successfully hit level 5, unlocking a second skill slot and gaining a significant boost to all his base attributes. A golden notification appears as he walks, celebrating another successful draw. He's just obtained the golden legendary skill affix, Corpse Explosion. His heavy boots thud against the dry earth as he heads back toward the city. The landscape behind him is quiet once again, the trial over for now. Elsewhere on the mountain, Liu Ruyan bites her lip in frustration, her face clouded with anger. Her team's training session has been completely ruined by the lack of targets. She and her teammates stand in the middle of a massive, scorched crater. She screams into the empty air, demanding to know where all the monsters could have possibly gone. Night has fallen over the city as Bai approaches the grand, illuminated facade of the Adventurers Association. The building stands as a beacon for those seeking power and wealth in this new era. The surrounding district is filled with high-end shops, their neon signs advertising everything from legendary armory to exotic battle pets for the city's awakened elite. Inside the bustling hall, Bai walks with a relaxed air. Having reached level 5, he's eager to find a second skill to fill his newly unlocked slot and maximize his potential. He stops before a massive digital display promoting a Blizzard skill book for 10,000 yuan. The staggering price confirms his belief that being a high-level mage is a luxury few can afford to maintain. Bai makes his way to the circular reception desk and rests a hand on the counter. He informs the receptionist that he's here to activate a dungeon card for his first official run. Nearby, a cloaked figure watches silently while taking a long pull from a glass of ale. The blonde receptionist looks up, surprised to see a freshman seeking a dungeon card so early in the day. She smiles professionally while sliding a registration form across the polished wood. She asks him to provide his high school and class details to finalize the activation request. Across the room, a rough-looking man with a patterned bandana slams a heavy dagger onto a table littered with gold coins. He's already tracking the newcomers, nodding Bai's status as a mage from First High. Sudden shouts of triumph and frustration erupt from a group of seasoned adventurers in the lounge. Bai glances back, a bead of sweat on his face as he asks the receptionist about the commotion. Zhao Rushan leans back, a cigarette dangling from his lips as he exhales a thick cloud of smoke. He laughs heartily, impressed that a little brother has managed to hit level 5 so quickly after awakening. A hand reaches out, placing 3 crystalline vials filled with glowing red liquid onto the counter. The association member offers them as a complimentary gift for a promising graduate of his alma mater. Bai looks down at the recovery potions and the paperwork in his hand. He raises an eyebrow, beginning to suspect that his arrival has sparked some kind of gambling spree among the veterans. Zhao Rushan confirms his suspicions with a grin, explaining that they were betting on which school would produce the first card opener. He's just hit the jackpot by placing his money on a First High mage. Bai accepts the gift with a polite smile, but his casual use of old man clearly hits a nerve. Zhao Rushan snaps back, insisting he only graduated 2 years ago and isn't that old yet. Relaxing slightly, the muscular man introduces himself as Zhao Rushan. He gives a thumb up, offering his services as a power leveler if Bai ever needs a boost in the future. Bai leans in, a calculating glint in his eyes as he asks if there are any other betting pools currently open. He's looking for a way to capitalize on the situation and fund his training. Zhao Rushan lists several typical bets, such as dungeon choice and clear times. He warns that the old foxes in the room are getting cautious now that they've seen Bai's potential firsthand. Bai holds one of the health potions up to the light, his expression turning sharp and intense. He suggests a bold new bet, 10-to-1 odds that he can clear a purgatory-level dungeon on his first try. The suggestion causes Zhao Rushan to double over in a fit of coughing as he nearly chokes on his smoke. He warns Bai that purgatory difficulty is a death sentence for rookies and not something to joke about. Unfazed by the warning, Bai's gaze remains steady and focused. He has complete confidence in the overwhelming power of his stacked legendary affixes to see him through any challenge. Zhao Rushan stares back, his eyes narrowing as he realizes the young mage isn't joking. The atmosphere between them turns tense as he weighs the risk of such a massive and dangerous wager. He crushes his cigarette into an ashtray and asks for Bai's full name to formalize the deal. He notes that if this pool actually opens, the total stakes could easily reach 500,000 yuan. The receptionist silently slides a green dungeon card toward Bai, her eyes closed in a moment of professional detachment. Bai knows they're just worried about his ability to cover the loss. Bai grabs the card and raises it high as he walks toward the stairs, his voice echoing through the hall. He identifies himself as Bai from the Ren family and tells Zhao Rushan to start the betting. Zhao Rushan scratches his head, trying to place the Ren family name. Since the kid just pulled out a high-tier dungeon card, Zhao figures he must be from some powerful hidden clan. Bai steps up to the terminal, swiping his card to initialize the entry. The system confirms he's diving solo into the remnants of the Bug Emperor on purgatory difficulty. Zhao's jaw drops when he sees the kid actually commit to the run. He realizes he might have just met a top-tier VIP and decides he's going to stick to him like glue from now on. The dungeon gate flares to life, pulling Nbai into a swirling vortex of red energy. The raw power of the teleportation kickstarts a heavy wind that rattles everything in the hall. Inside the dungeon, a red system window pops up to outline his grim objectives. To clear the purgatory challenge, he has to survive the swarms and completely destroy the bug nest. Dropped into a jagged gray ravine, Nbai scans the area for any signs of the enemy. He doesn't have a map, so he decides to just head in whichever direction sounds the most dangerous. A swarm of gold-winged bugs spots him immediately, their wings vibrating with an aggressive hum. These level 7 mobs have significantly higher stats than anything he fought in the school trials. The bugs dive into the ravine, filling the narrow space with their massive, armored forms. Nbai holds his wand steady as green magical energy begins to swirl around his feet. A massive fireball slams into the lead bugs, erupting in a blinding dome of heat and light. The force of the blast is enough to shake the very foundations of the canyon walls. As the smoke clears, Nbai notices that at least one bug managed to survive the direct hit. It seems some of these elite monsters are built specifically for high defense. He doesn't skip a beat, preparing a follow-up spell with a sharp, determined look. He just needs to dial up the intensity to handle these tougher shells. Suddenly, green magical electricity begins to crackle all over the surviving bug's body. It starts shaking violently, the energy within it becoming unstable and volatile. The monster detonates in a massive burst of green fire, far more powerful than the fireball that initially hit it. The explosion ripples through the air, obliterating everything nearby. Nbai watches the spectacular chain reaction with a cool, calculating gaze. He's starting to realize that his skill affixes are even more broken than he first thought. He pulls up his interface and finally reads the detailed description for the corpse explosion affix he just applied. It turns every dead enemy into a secondary bomb that scales with their health and his own power. The entire ravine is quickly swallowed by thick green smoke and the flickering light of magical fire. He basically turned the first few kills into a self-sustaining wave of destruction. Nbai walks casually through the burning remains of the swarm, his green cloak fluttering behind him. He realizes he doesn't even need to spam fireballs. One good shot is all it takes to trigger a massacre. Another massive explosion rocks the ground behind him as the fire catches the next pile of corpses. The canyon is rapidly becoming a literal tunnel of flame. Billowing clouds of orange and yellow fire fill the frame as the initial blast expands. The sheer heat is turning the stony ground into scorched ash in seconds. In other parts of the ravine, the magical green fire burns even brighter, feeding off the bug's biological energy. It's a relentless chain reaction that leaves 0 survivors. Emerging from the smoke, Nbai looks as calm as if he were taking a morning stroll. He keeps his wand at the ready, though there's nothing left in the immediate area to fight. The floor of the ravine is covered in the charred, broken remains of the bug swarm. He notes that this skill setup is the perfect tool for clearing out high-density dungeons like this one. He stops walking, his head tilting slightly as he catches a new sound echoing through the canyon. It's a rhythmic clicking that's much deeper and heavier than before. Something massive shifts in the dark shadows near a rock overhang, just out of clear sight. Whatever it is, it's clearly far bigger and more dangerous than the scout bugs. Nbai climbs up to a high vantage point and peers down into a massive, shadowy pit. He spots a cluster of bugs, so thick they look like a moving carpet of armored shells and glowing eyes. Thousands of green-winged bugs are packed together along the sheer walls of the ravine. To anyone else, it's a death trap, but for him, it's the ultimate opportunity to test his limits. He raises his wand high above his head, focusing a concentrated bead of magical energy at the tip. He's not going for a wide spray. He's aiming for a single, surgical strike. Sensing the buildup of mana, a group of bugs breaks away from the swarm and charges toward him. They're fast, but they're flying straight into the center of his kill zone. Nbai drops a single, small fireball down into the heart of the pit. It falls slowly, a tiny spark of orange against the overwhelming darkness of the bug nest. He watches with a slight, satisfied smirk as his spell disappears into the mass of enemies. In just a few seconds, this entire canyon is going to be transformed into a giant furnace.